Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to get a new engine deck lid. So we're starting to move along on the car now. We got glass in place and we're going to start installing some body panels. So today we're going to install this engine deck lid. Also, we're going to do it in a little bit unconventional fashion. Dad's coming over today, going to give us a hand on this. What we're going to do, we're going to mock up the hood on the outside. We're not going to try and stand it up and bring the hinges up to it here from this position. I'm going to crawl in from underneath. Dad's going to hold it in position where we think it needs to be, and then I'm just going to bring the hinges up to it, run the bolts in from underneath. This should be a little bit simpler for us, should get us adjusted a little bit quicker, and a lot less risk of damage on the bodywork if we do it that way. If we was to bring it in here and wrestle with it, wrenches, we really just don't know as we're bringing it up and down where we're going to be in relation to this back edge here. And from primer stage, I can tell you this was very, very close. So the geometry and how all this works, very touch and go. So I think we'll try it this way, see how it works, and hopefully we have some luck with it. So let's go into the shop, take a look at the engine deck lid, the grill. We've got license plate lights that's got to go in there. We've got to run a wiring harness in there. Let's go set up everything we can set up in the shop. Then we'll bring it out here and set it in place and get her started. Okay, so first let's take a look at our grill here and see what I'm doing with this. So I'm making some modifications, and then after those modifications I'm checking to see if we have proper clearance from our acorn nuts to finish paint. The last time we saw this grill was about 4 years ago in our primer stage mock-up. Let's move in a little bit closer and I'll show you what we're working on here. So the main modification I made here to this grill was purchased from Stoddard about 4 years ago. Real nice quality grill, real beautiful to look at, and fits real nice. The only problem I had with my particular deck lid here would be the acorn nuts were actually touching finished paint while I mounted it up. So the original acorn nuts, you can see the head on that a little bit smaller. So what I did is I pulled all the rods out of the old original grill and switched them out with the new ones, because even your rod spindle is going to be different diameter on your original. Use the smaller acorn nuts, and even with that, we're very close, but you can see I do have clearance in there to the paint. So we really don't want any kind of metal touching our paint. Okay, let's go ahead and flip this over, take a look at the bottom side. So one thing to note, if you're replacing your original grill with an aftermarket, these stud locations here, these are adjustable to some degree. If you loosen your acorn nuts top and bottom, you can actually shift the direction of these. So if they're not lining up, you can get those to work out. And then before we bring it outside and set it in place, we want to make sure we run a tap down all our threaded holes, clean them out real good. And then this is what it looks like if you take the original grill apart. A lot of parts and pieces, spindles, washers, even all these little spindles there. These are all different lengths and different configurations. Set this guy up. So once you pull it apart, it's going to be real tough getting it back together. So you've probably seen this before. I'm applying a slurry coat of rubberized contact cement to the surface of our strike latch mechanism here. This has all been refinished, put back together. And the reason I'm putting this rubberized coating on here, we could use a rubberized coating for this. This works really good. Our super weather strip adhesive, or also our SEM would work fine for that. I really don't like silicone for something like this because it's a little bit too much flex in the silicone. But basically you just need a little bit of protection from the two hard surfaces coming together. So we've got hard metal finish coming right up tight against finished paint. So any kind of burr on there, any kind of little hard spot could fracture the paint and create a problem. So this would just help take some of that and smooth that out. And then also that same principle would apply even on our smallest washers. So those washers are going underneath these screw heads here, and they'll be biting down on finished paint. I've got new screws in there. Our lights have been refinished with new bulbs in there. And we're going to use the original lens covers on those, still in really nice condition. I'm not going to go with the original rubber gasket behind there. I decided to go with like a duct tape on there, just so it has some soft impact between the plastic and the hard metal when we screw down to it. Also being black there, if you see anything, it won't show up. We just don't have quite enough room on that lip there to use a thick gasket like that. So if we put this on, the definition from this popping through the deck won't be quite as nice as if we have a little bit thinner. And then just a quick look at our wiring harness. So this one's not too bad. We're just going to have to reconnect these ends once we get it put through into the car. So getting started then, first thing we want to do is run our wiring harness through the inside, put a fresh new grommet here, and then reconnect and solder these ends. In position of lights. So then putting the lights in place, I'm actually going to have to put the lens in the opening first and then bring the light fixture in after that and connect. If I put the light fixture on the plastic lens, I can't get it through the opening there. So, and then you can see now once we get up here, got good definition right here. All right, so we can see now our lens is pulled plenty forward and got a nice detail right around that edge. A little red rubber grease right around the edge of our feet here. And then I'm just going to thread her in about halfway. All right, using some vinyl tape on the edging here just to get it taped up. Okay, so we're all staged and ready to go. We've got everything taped up. And we're using just a little bit of fill in this area here so when the deck sits down, we flush up with this as close as possible. This actually is rubber molding for inside the back deck area. Okay, here we go. Tacked in position there. Everything looks flush and our gaps look good. So now I'm going to crawl in from underneath and try to secure the hinges while Dad just basically backs this up, reinforces it, just in case it wants to slide. So we're inside the engine compartment, nice and cozy now. You can see the vinyl tape we got in there. And then what we're going to do, we're going to bring the hinge up to it. And you see on the back side there, we got a little bit of a space. That's because we're going to need to put a shim in there. So I'm using some various size rubber washers to gauge our thickness in the shim there. See that front edge there, it's just touching. That one looks about right. So we're going to start with that one. Let's go ahead and nut that down, see what that looks like. Just running the bolts in with a screwdriver socket until they're just bottomed out. No real torque at this point. We still got to hook up the shock absorber, which is going to greatly affect how much push is on this. And then on this side also, looks like about one shim here. Let's get her started there. Okay, so our initial setting, we actually look pretty good clearance-wise, but we're actually below grade with our deck lid to body, just a little bit. But watch what happens when I lift up on the deck there. You can see just hitting right there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add one more spacer on this hinge and that side, and hopefully that'll correct that and get it to shoot over. Let's try that, see if that works. Okay, so what's happening, we're having a problem right here, and it has to do with the strut. So it's not possible to secure the strut with the lid in the closed position, so we're going to have to open the lid, but we're going to have to loosen the bolts here, pull it forward and up as we open it. So watch how that works once we pull it open. Then we're going to hold it there. We're going to secure the strut and cinch the bolts back down and then slowly lower it. See what that. Okay, here we go.
Ready?
Okay, lifting up. Are you clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and go all the way up. Okay, so now we got the strut secure. We're going to go ahead and just snug these down and then pull it slightly forward this direction. We're about fooling with it for about a half hour. I think we got it between the strut and the shims. Let's go ahead and take a look at this line here. Look underneath what the clearance is there. See how close everything is. So we got everything adjusted out and finally where I think we need to have it. Let's take a look at this gap in here and see what the final clearance is once everything's settled in and where it has to be. Looks like there's ample clearance in there now that it's right on the right spot. But if we're slightly below grade a little bit, you're going to have a problem there, or even if we're above grade, a little bit of a problem there. I like the method of setting the deck lid first and coming in from underneath, real forgiving that way, particularly with finished paint, and no problem coming in here later and adjusting your hinges. And then before we bring our grill out and set it in place, let's take a look at these rubber washers I'm using. So they're measuring out at about 2.5 millimeters thick here. And I'm just setting those down right over the studs there. And that seems to be about the right thickness. So then we're just using just a dab of red rubber grease. That's going to stop our washers from sliding around while we drop our lid down. I think we're good. And then we can hook up our wiring harness right here and ground. So everything is hooked up and adjusted as best we can get it. Let's head into the shop for some white glove work. So what we're looking at here is a real problem I've encountered trying to replace these letter sets. Literally ordered a dozen different sets from Porsche, from various aftermarket, trying to get the 911 badge and also our original lettering to be as close to the original as possible. Our original letters, really not too bad, but a lot of the gold has faded on it. They got some nicks and scratches in there. And it's not really possible to refinish these or replate these. And the reason that is because it's actually a pot metal. You would think by looking at it, there's just an anodized aluminum. You could maybe strip the anodizing and repolish it and re-anodize, but not gonna work. You're actually not gonna be able to refinish these. I have seen some sets that people have made attempts to refinishing these, but it really is really not that good. The definition gets eaten away here from the polishing. So what I've ended up going with is an aftermarket set, and these were manufactured by Auto Atlanta out of Atlanta, Georgia. So how these work, these actually are a threaded type application. So the center of this turn nut here is threaded. On the back side, we've got a separate turnable, kind of like a washer that's going to bite down. Typically that would be biting down in your paint. I'm not going to go with that on the paint. I'm going to use a rubber washer that wasn't supplied with the kit. This is what we're going to install. Let's go ahead and put these on there, see what they look like. I think they're going to turn out real nice. Using a twist nut on our 911 badge. All right, let's take a look here and see how we did. So I really like the way these install. No problem fitting them in the OEM holes. No problem at all. The threaded stud that comes out of them is actually smaller than the hole. So got a little room for adjustment and forgiveness there. The only problem I had really was the center one here, right where it goes over our latch. This one right back up in here, real tough to get to. Used a little red rubber grease on there to stick the washer. And then a Q-tip to hold it, and then a little tiny screwdriver to get started on there. But once we got it going, it threaded down real nice and worked out really well. All right, looking good here. So let's go ahead and finish up with our hood latch and adjustment, and then we'll call it good. We'll have to line it up on our strike down below. All right, we can move that around as needed. Okay, so it looks like we're about where we need to be there. We're settled in the center. We just tighten those down a little bit and see what the latch looks like. We're centered up on the strike and latch, okay, but it's not wanting to latch right in here and through here. So I think what we need to do is lengthen this cable. That's how it wants to work. Right now that's latched, but when I let that go, seems backwards, but let's go ahead and shorten that and see if that works. Seems kind of strange, but maybe it works. All right. Okay, so that one really wasn't too bad. Just a couple things to look out for on the engine deck lid, which would be the fitment of the grill, and those letters are tough. So I'd like to give out a big special thanks to Auto Atlanta for taking the time and walking us through A beautiful set of letters for this car, also the 911 badge. I'm going to put a link to them down below in the item description box, and you can check them out if you don't know about them already. Another quality Porsche parts supplier. Also, we now have an official Instagram account for Mike's Restoration, so there's a link to that on our homepage channel banner, upper right hand corner. You can click that on. That'll take you over to our Instagram account. We're officially hashtag Mike's Restorations 2020. Over the years, I've literally collected thousands of pictures of restoration work, some fun car stuff, car things in general. Thought it might be kind of fun just to share them with you guys, and also make a nice compliment to our video series, seeing some stills without having to go through the whole video series. If there's something you want to look at, a particular part of the car, I've got some before and after, might be kind of cool and fun to look at those. Also, I want to thank Dad for stopping by and helping us out. Dad couldn't be here for the end of the video. Had to take off and do some things, but thanks, Dad. We always appreciate the help. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.